Hello and welcome to Gen Con TV. My name is Marcus Mace. You are watching TableTakes, your gaming tabletop news source, where we take the coolest tabletop news we can find and serve it to you through your screens. I am joined by the perplexed hosts who did not know that I was going to ramble incoherently at the top of the show. But let's get to know them, shall we? These are three of my favorite people here, so I'm excited to see what you guys have been up to this week. Let us start with Bonsai Baby. What have you been up to?
I finally finished my gelatinous cube shoes. So they got slime drips and everything. I don't know if I can zoom in on that. Eh, eh, eh. Yeah, I did them. There's
Bonsai,
one
those are
that's
so cool.
blue, one that's green, because I was like, oh, in both depictions, it's either blue or green, even though technically it's supposed to be clear, but I got them done and I'm very happy. I've been using them, walking around. And now I got some nice new shoes to replace my Mario shoes that have gotten old and, worn out on the bottom. It has holes in it. So I'm like, it's hard for me to throw it away, but I'm going to have to throw it away. I'll do a throwing away ceremony later on today.
Those are awesome. It's cool to see the final product, Bonsai. Like you knocked that out of the park. You outdid yourself. That is so cool.
Thank you.
No, thank you so much for sharing that with us. I want to buy some from you now. Let me ask you, do they increase your vertical jump at all? Do they help with that?
No, but they're supposed to help me walk better because they're supposed to be zero drop shoes. So they you can feel the rocks. But it's a lot of kind of hippie mumbo jumbo, I guess, that they're like, you gotta, if you have feet walking problems or back problems, that if you're just as close to the ground as possible, it helps your feet and arches better. There's yeah, it's very I understand it's woohoo, okay? It's just nice
No.
shoes. I got shoes.
Oh, that's awesome, Bonzo. Thanks for letting us know what you've been up to.
Yeah.
Next up, I'd like to check in with Javion. Javion, what have you been up to?
I have been preparing myself for flu season, for COVID season. I have, I believe, four different shots in my arm right now. I took some of the band-aids
Oh wow,
off,
look at
but
those new holes you got. Fresh
yeah,
new holes.
all of these vaccines all at once. I cannot raise my arm past here right now.
With all those
Still
vaccines, you'll
sore
become a
from
living
yesterday.
god.
Yeah. Other than that, though, as you can see from my background, I am very obsessed with Spelunky 2. I have not stopped playing it for several days straight, except to play more Minecraft. And I've been just updating my. Oh, sorry, not again. No,
We can still hear you, Javion. You're just frozen in a
I
very.
know I hate it.
No, I like it. Let's just zoom in. Can
Sorry.
we come back to Javion?
Uh, I'm
Well,
sorry.
we'll take it.
Anyway,
We'll touch base with you, Javion, in a moment once you get your camera
I
set up.
I I jostled my webcam for like a second by accident.
That's the problem. You never jostle the webcam. That's the first thing they teach you in Twitch 101. But for now, we're going to come back to Javion, who is having some webcam jostling related issues. But let's hop over to Noir. Noir, what have you been up to?
Oh, well, I was planning on jostling my webcam. No, kidding.
No!
No, I've had a pretty interesting week. There's this company called Rough Magic that sends GMs out to different bars and stuff in Chicago. And we GM for them. So I just got accepted by them. I put all of my GMing stuff in one book bag. I'm very proud of that fact.
Nice.
And then I 3D printed and painted a skull dice roller thing. You could roll your dice in it. And stealing the concept from Dimension 20, they have the box of doom. I have the skull of fate.
I love that. That's awesome.
Other than that, yeah, I haven't really been up to much except playing Dragon Ball Sparking Zero and settling generations long beefs with friends long forgotten.
I have to play that game. I am so excited. I forgot it was even out. I'm gonna waste my entire I have a week off in a couple of weeks. I'm gonna waste that entire week playing Sparkling Zero. So thank you,
Do
Noir.
it.
Thank you, Noir, for shouting out the cause. I appreciate that. But without further ado, let us get into our headlines. First off, we'd like to do a little shout out to our good friends at Spiel Essen. This article comes from Mike Ditmas-True of Board Game Wire. Spiel Essen sells out for the first time. The world's biggest board game fair, Spiel Essen, has posted a new post-COVID attendance record, and amid completely selling out of tickets for the 4-day event for the first time in its 41-year history. This is 204,000 people attended this year's fair in Northwest Germany, which has closed its doors this Sunday, up around 5.6% compared to the 193,000 who visited the event in 2023. This is great news. Gen Con also sold out, so as one sellout to another, we love you, Essen. Not that you sold out. That's not what I meant to say. That's not the direct quote.
I
And speaking
sold
about
out.
this, we all sold out. Noir sold out as well. But there's some more cool news coming out of Essen Spiel Essen. And Javion, I would love for you to take us through this because you always bring us these cool awards news. So please, Javion.
Yeah, absolutely. Are we, sorry, I didn't catch that. Are we just moving to the next article?
Yeah. So we're going to talk
Okay,
about your
cool.
article, which is about.
Yeah, the Deutsche Spiele Priest. I looked it up afterwards, Marcus, after you had asked me earlier whether or not it was pronounced price or Prius. It's actually price. You were right the whole
Oh.
time. Deutscher Spiele Preis. This is an article also by Mike Ditmas-True of Board Game Wire, and yeah, it's about who won. So this is an annual award, and unlike some of the other ones, this one is a community vote, meaning you get to decide, or at least people in Germany get to decide, who had the best game this year. And this year, they decided it was Forest Shuffle. Forest Shuffle is a card game, competitive for 2 to 5 players, and it's all about the forest. You're trying to put trees down and find some forest dwellers to attract to those trees. It's pretty simple, straightforward rules. You got cards in your hand, you can either draw more or discard some cards to play some other cards. So there's a lot of information gathering, trying to figure out which are the best cards to play so that they score together rather than separately from one another. It's interesting. People have been rating it mostly an 8 on Board Game Geek, but people in Germany, I guess, don't make up the majority of people who vote on Board Game Geek, right? So this award is also going to second place winner Sky Team, and third place winner White Castle. Sky Team, interestingly enough, actually won the Spiel des Jahres, which is the big board game award ceremony in Germany. It's basically the biggest one in the world, if you ask anybody from Europe. But they didn't win this year. This year, the people voted. They thought a cute little game about woodland creatures was way more fun. So the rest of this article talks a lot about all the other award winners and other game designers and things like that. Feel free to look through it yourself. I'm really mostly interested in all of these game designers holding up their awards, looking so adorable. Everybody's so excited, and you can see even the Sky Team folks are like wearing their navigator or aviator hats and stuff like that. It's really cool. So you can check out some of the other fourth place and below winners on the article if you'd like to. If you haven't played Forest Shuffle yet, might be the time to actually try it out now that you've seen it win, and people seem to like it. Might be also the time to try White Castle if you're willing to invest the money and time to play it, because it's quite a long game, all about the Edo period Japan, and it's a worker placement game that can take quite a long time to play. So anyway, there you go. Some awards to geek out about.
That is
Wait.
awesome. Go ahead, Nor.
I was just gonna say, would you say that White Castle is a game that you crave?
No.
Oh, wow. I
No.
totally did not make that connection until you said that. That's really funny.
Shout out
No,
to
no.
all of the winners. I just want to say shout
Round
out
of
to the winners.
applause.
Round of applause.
Man.
Moment of silence,
Do you-
depending.
Do you feel like maybe people who play the game are thinking that, and I'm just like, I can't get the idea out of my head that we're at a burger joint?
Well, next time we go to
You
Indy, we'll go to White Castle and play some White Castle at White Castle.
Yeah, no. My friend has White Castle. We're gonna play it, and he introduced it to us, and I was like, "It's a burger game," and he showed it, and I was like, "Oh, this is not exact." Like I
Yeah.
totally thought like it was the burger chain as well. That's me and my American brain, I guess, in that one.
Yeah, there's
But
a
yeah.
lot of pieces to that game. You should probably put it in a crave case.
Okay. On that note, moving the heck on. We have some interesting news coming out of the unionization side of tabletop. We've been covering a lot of various things happening from game stores to different parts of our industry doing this. So, Noir, there's a piece of information here that I don't always think about when it comes to buying and
Yeah.
selling these things. Would you share that with us?
Absolutely. First off, this article and all the information therein comes from Nicole Carpenter of Polygon. Um, the TCG player workers, who have been unionized with Communication Workers of America for about a year, told Polygon that eBay isn't paying its hourly workers a fair wage for the work that they do. Giacano said that their role starts at $16.25 per hour, a number they called insulting for the specialized nature of the job. They also mentioned that other departments were also critically underpaid as well, like the shipping department. And that's why the union is rallying in Syracuse on Thursdays, just after publishing a detailed report on both wages at TCG Player and the cost of living expense of the warehouse locale. The report, which surveyed 54 authentication center workers, says that 87% of the workers earn less than a living wage in Syracuse, New York, for a single person without a child. Yeah, this is just one more reason why unions being present in the gaming space, I feel, is so very necessary. It would be easy for us as hobbyists to ignore something like this, but getting your cards certified is a major deal in this space, especially for resellers and the like, and collectors just in general. So we should all be in support of making sure that the people that are at the heart of an aspect of our hobby are taken care of. Nobody should actually have to worry about not being able to have a living wage. Housing, food, the right to live should be a right. And that's my thoughts on the matter, but I open it up to the rest of you. What do you think?
I wonder if this is a response to especially eBay showing off like a couple of like conventions ago, and even at this current convention, their automated card slaughter with like the robots and stuff, how they like send it and the robot is actually shuffling the cards more. I wonder if that's like this is kind of response to them trying to automate a lot of their systems.
I mean, I can see that for sure, but one of the things that I think was, they alluded to it in the article is that grading this stuff is really like it's a skill, it's a specialization. I if you automate that process, you risk somebody coming to you with a card that does not meet the qualifications of the price the bot gives it. And that is a loss of money. And I think that you're always going to need a human eye to verify what the machine or automation does. And so you should pay that human.
Yeah, absolutely. This is I always love to see the push for unionization in these corners of our industry. Like this is like other departments like shipping is also like that's something you assume they're being taken care of, especially with their job is so specialty, and it just happens to be not. So I'm glad that they're getting this out there. 87% of the workers less than living wage in Syracuse, New York. That is absurd. I hope that this goes the well that they want. We're going to keep an eye on this as things come. Anything else everyone want to talk about this before we move on? Good luck. Absolutely. We've sent the best of luck to the eBay union. Good luck with that. Next up, we have some interesting news from ex-Blizzard devs. They're Bonsai. What's this?
Sorry, I was on mute for a second,
No, it's
but
okay.
yeah, So this is thank you to Michael C. McWinthorpe of Polygon News for bringing this up. But back in 2020, we covered, I don't know if you remember, we covered the news that some of Blizzard's dev were leaving to form their own gaming tabletop studios. And this is along with Mike Morfame. I'm sorry if I pronounced that name wrong, who's a co-founder and former CEO of Blizzard leading the studio. They now released a trailer and information on their first game called Sunderfolk, which is set to release in early 2025. At a high level, this game is basically, if you ever played Gloomhaven Digital, it's kind of like that smashed with the game mechanics of Jack Party games. If you're all familiar about being able to access and play with friends over either the TV or a computer easily through your phone. This is marketed and played as a couch co-op experience. Unlike other digital tabletop games, which aim to play online with each other at their own PC, Sunderfolks is meant to be played in person and shared on a TV, and each player taking their turns, of course, like I said, using their phone or smartphone as their controller. The game itself looks to be about 1 to 4 dungeon crawlers with a card-based combat, and it seems to draw heavy inspiration on Gloomhaven. You play animal characters that are like a polar bear paladin, like a what is it? Like a bat druid. It's a lot of really cute fun characters. It seems to really capture the simplicity of Gloomhaven Digital while still centering in the in-person experience, like playing a typical tabletop playing game. I just brought it up because I looked at the demo and it looked really, really cool, and I like the idea that I don't have to buy any special equipment. I can just send like a QR code to folks that I want to play with, especially, you know, if I have like a nice TV that I can set up while one side of the house plays physical board games, we can play digital board games. And like I like with the Gloomhaven Digital, it tells me the rules so I don't have to go through all of them myself. It automates it. Automation. Yay. So that's it. Yes. So what do y'all think of this?
I play a lot of games whenever I go on vacation with big groups of people, and I feel like we often want the experience of playing a board game, but not the experience of setting it up and teaching it and also putting it away or like dealing with pieces that go rolling around and stuff. When you're on vacation, you kind of want to just relax and throw up some Jackbox party games. So this is definitely the kind of thing that I would try to whip out, especially with my friends who really play a lot of board games. They've probably never seen something like this before. And the ones who hate Jackbox party games might actually like this a little bit more too. So yeah.
I I really love that they're developing for couch co-op. I feel as though that's been something that's been abandoned. And like, I'm a 90s kid, video game era of like the multi-tap like for PlayStation. So like a lot of my, favorite memories is couch co-op, playing X-Men Legends or Ultimate Alliance with peeps. So I really hope that this kicks off a resurgence of couch co-op because I don't understand why it's one or the other. Like, if a game can do multiplayer, you can develop it for couch co-op and online playing. Why have we abandoned doing both?
Yeah, I think this is really cool. As someone, and I've talked about this before, as someone who I don't feel like I learned the books entirely, the game entirely through just reading the book. So being able to kind of digitize some of the aspects of it so I can see the mechanics of how things go really, really helped me. And this sounds like a really good, easy way for someone like me who I'm interested in this game to pick up the app, and the app, like you mentioned this before, Bonza, the app does the work for you. I think that's really cool. This is a really good I'm really hopeful in this investment into the couch co-op 1 to 4 player space. This is pretty cool. Thank you, Bonsai, for bringing this to our attention. The one thing I want to say, just for myself, if you recognize that name and the co-founder and former CEO of Blizzard, I'd say do some research into this person a little bit. They have been a part of some things involved in Blizzard, and they are moving from one space to another. But my transition is pretty perfect because until proven guilty is the theme of our next article. Javion, would you like to tell us a little bit about that?
Absolutely. Okay, so this is our Alex Meehan article. That means Alex Meehan, formerly a journalist for other board game news sites, is doing articles for us now. And we've got this one. It's all about Until Proven Guilty. This is a game by designer Enrico Procacci, who's wrote several award-winning murder parties. You can check out the link in Twitch chat if you want to see more of their awards as well as their other projects. This is a game all about defending innocent people in court. So it's a co-op game. It was actually already released in a different form in a magazine in Italy called Io Gioco. Well, at least that was the first version, which didn't actually follow the original idea, which was for everyone to sit around at the table and try to figure out not just who done it, but also how to defend your innocent party against the accusations lined up against them using evidence that you collect along the way. Now, the final version that they came up with was picked up by DV Games. And eventually now they're actually going to release it later this year. So you can look forward to seeing this court drama played out on your actual table. Now, upon first glance, has a lot of similarities to a Japanese detective game you might have heard of called the Ace Attorney series. Even the protagonist of this game, Until Proven Guilty, Peter Howard, has a lot of similarities. First of all, it's a white dude with brown hair, with dashing good looks, but he's got glasses, which is completely different than Ace Attorney. Phoenix Wright doesn't wear glasses. Everybody knows that. So anyway, just like in that game, when you bring this to the table, you're going to be trying to look through all the different testimonies, look through the murder weapon and the body autopsy and all that stuff, piece together what happened, and then eventually, using an app that DV Games suggested they use, you can submit your evidence or select the evidence at just the right time, and then you can get feedback about whether or not that was the right evidence to present right now, or maybe it has nothing to do with what they said, and you didn't follow the same line of thinking as the game designers did, so they're going to chastise you by giving you a penalty, and if you run out of penalties, then you lose the game. That's at least my Ace Attorney experience. We'll see if this is any different. Originally, the game was supposed to be read in third person, and then it just ended up being too much reading. So they decided to split up everything into character voices that each person gets to take on different roles as you figure out what's going on. And then you actually get to the fun gameplay. So again, we can look forward to seeing this game released in 2024 this year. Thankfully, not in magazine form. I don't have to go to Italy if I actually want to play this game. I've seen some other murder mystery or detective style games that were done pretty well, that are really well loved. So I'm hoping that this one actually ends up being unique enough that it doesn't remind us of anything else we've done too much before, but also robust enough that the app doesn't end up doing too much of the work for us. Because I like my board games where I can actually play with them, with the cards and everything on the table. I don't have to fiddle with technology when I'm trying to sit around. So there you go. Thank you once again, Alex Meehan, for all of that info. If you guys are looking forward to this game, then I highly recommend you keep your eyes out for it later this year.
Awesome. I'm a big Phoenix Wright fan, so I'm curious to see how this translates. And thank you so much, Javion and Alex Meehan, for your breakdown of this. Any of you ever played the Phoenix Wright games? Aside from Javion, of course.
Yeah.
I briefly, but I mostly remember it for the like screaming and memes and large gesturing and men with very big
cultural impact.
pectoral muscles.
Yeah.
Objection.
I love it. I love it. I'm so, it's just right up my alley. It's just the nice paced game. I enjoy it. Thank you so much for this, Javion. Next up, we have some more news about something coming from Mantic Games. Noir.
Yes, we do. All right. So first off, I would just like to state the last time that I reported on this, I may have derailed and started talking about another Space Marine. I'm not gonna do that. So in that spirit, Mantic Games will release new Halo Flashpoint paint kit. The new paint kit features 8 paints with a color palette tailored for painting Halo miniatures. These paints are part of the Army Painter War Paint Fanatic line and are accompanied by an Army Painter paintbrush. The kit also includes a Master Chief model and 2 game cards and will retail for $50. I have no other thoughts on this. I'm very excited. I love new paints.
Awesome. I just want to make everyone go around here. If you had to have a Master Chief, which is not what they're called Spartans, but if you had to have a Master Chief and you had to paint it one color, what would you go? I would go pink. I want a pink Master Chief. That's what I want.
Can I go chrome? Because that's color technically.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
that would look
sick.
crazy good. Look like what is the Star Wars lady from the newer ones who had that great chrome armor based off Palpatine's ship or whatever it was. That's kind of what I'm imagining. That chic, that shiny.
Mhm.
Oh, bonsai, that would look great.
That would look so cool.
How about you, Javion?
I guess red. That's my favorite color.
It's a good color.
I'll stick to something I know.
Stick to what you know. Okay, how about you, Noir?
Chrome was such a good
That's
color.
a really good answer.
I'm going with like a metallic black.
Oh, nice. Oh, that would look kind of like a. Oh, I wonder what. I'm going to get distracted and talk about cool colors for the Master Chief's armor to come in. But that's not what you're here for. That's what we're here for. Moving on, we have some more cool news about interesting properties doing weird things in strange places. Bonsai, tell us about that.
Yeah. Hey, guess what? You heard about Universal Studios Fright Night? Well, guess what? They're gonna do Universal Studio Waterdeep, at least for a short amount of time. Thank you to Christian Hoffer at EN World for this article. But yes, Universal Studios has just announced that for select nights in April and May of 2025, they'll be transferring parts of the park into Waterdeep as part of their Fan Fest Nights, which is a new event that they're trying to start up. Seeing how people love Fright Fest and being transported into horror movies. Right now, the event description is just embark on a Dungeons and Dragons adventure with fellow hoppers to save Waterdeep from Xanathar. So if you guys don't know, Xanathar was a particular beholder, but now has transformed to a title of beholders that run Xanathar's Thieves Guild words. Since I forgot to put the article down. But since these Fan Fest nights haven't been run before, it is uncertain how big the transformation will be, but folks are generally expecting it to be compared, like I said, Halloween Horror Nights, which is pretty well themed events. And also for future reference, if this is successful, they're holding a little dangly carrot. As another thing is Star Trek Picard may also be getting a Fan Fest night event this next year, and it has been revealed that it will be on the set of Enterprise D Bridge from season 3 of Star Trek Picard, and that will be the experience you get to be. So they're like, hey, look at this, you like Dungeons & Dragons? What if we negotiate Star Trek upon that? I feel like the Star Trek would be easier. At least in my opinion, easier to do because they had done Star Trek kind of things before, especially like Star Trek hotels. But what do y'all think?
On board. I am on board 100%. I love when they do it in Japan. I love, it's been a dream to go to the Halloween Resident Evil one in Universal Studios Japan for years. So I am super on board with this.
There's a Star Trek hotel?
Oh, there used to be. The only reason why I know that is because my partner, Mr. B, there was a Star Trek dentist, there's a Star Trek hotel, and there was like a lot of Star Trek thing. Yeah, there is a whole dentist office in New York that you could go to that was completely Star Trek. I'm seeing Noir Googling all of this, and yes, this stuff existed. And then it stopped existing, and now they're just bringing it all back.
You mean people didn't want their Star Trek mixed with their dentistry? The practice of dentistry? They didn't want Star Trek? That is fascinating.
Yes.
No, this is cool. And if the Dungeons and Dragons goes well, like you said, we might get the Star Trek one, which is great. But I'm curious, like what part of the park they're going to turn into the Dungeons and Dragons, and like which would loan itself a little bit better to, because they couldn't just go to the Jurassic Park ride and put Dungeons and Dragons in there, right?
They can.
Harry Potter would make the most sense. Oh, that's good. Yeah.
Make all the pterodactyls into dragons. It's easy.
Pretty simple.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
All the velociraptors are kobolds. Done.
But But yes, but yeah, no, Marcus, thank you so much. I totally spaced that they say at least they haven't. Universal Studios hasn't done this in the U.S., but Japan's Universal Studios has been known to take a lot of various different themes other than Horror Nights and making them into a theme exhibit. I think they also had like a some anime theme nights as well, fan theme nights. So
I think they did a big was it Jujutsu Kaisen or whatever the name of that show is. They had like a big
Jujutsu Kaisen is awesome.
They did like a huge like 3D kind of dark ride thing where they had a big screen and action and stuff happening. I saw a little bit of that like from this last year. It looks awesome. No, this is Noir. I can tell you are deeply invested in the success of this project, so we can get the Picard part.
I want it now.
No, you have to take the D&D first. You have to take the D&D first, and then you get the Picard.
Sorry, can we go back and talk about Jujutsu Kaisen some more? Because I just started watching it. It's actually really fun. It's really good. I have so many theories. I want to talk about all the main characters and the side characters. Plus, there's a lot of memes out there. I can send you some links.
Please do. It's the next anime I'm going to be watching, so I'm excited.
Watch it. It's so good.
I feel like we got to give chat some props. Cranston Snord says, "Did the Star Trek dentist scrape all the Klingons off your teeth?"
Okay. Cranston Snort, that is 150 comedy points. Wow. You get 150 comedy points for that. You will be able to cash those in at the end of the year. Just DM me and we'll get that sorted out. This is really cool. I'm fully in support of this. I cannot wait to hopefully be reporting next year on the Star Trek Picard experience. Maybe we'll get to go. I don't see how that falls into tabletop, but we will find a way to make it happen. But that is, does anyone have anything else they want to talk about? Any cool ideas for this Universal Studios Waterdeep? Anything that you're thinking about? Or are you ready to move on to the Crowdfunder Court?
Crowdfunder Court.
It's Crowdfunder Court time. Okay. Well, I am pressing the right buttons. I am looking at the right place, and we are going to the Crowdfunder Court right freaking now. Here we go. Welcome to Crowdfunder Court. Here come the judges. Prepare to be judged. All right, court is now in session.
Who murdered the turtle? This is a game. This is a Kickstarter, and it's from a very small company called Burning Fish Games. This is the first game that they've put on Kickstarter, and it shows because they were only asking for a very specific amount of money, $4,183. And as of now, they have $10,421. Congratulations! It's the goal of any first-time Kickstarter to hit your goal, but also exceed it by double. And they really set their sights perfectly, I'd say. Who murdered the turtle? You're probably wondering what this game actually is. Have you ever played Exploding Kittens? What about Russian Roulette? Well, this game's a lot like those games. One person is secretly a murderer. So we've got the whole hidden identity, mafia, werewolf vibe going on there. And you got a handful of murder cards, and you got to put them into the deck and hope that you don't draw one, but also hope that nobody figures out that you're putting them in there. All these different cards forcing you to skip your turn, put cards into the deck, peek at other players' hands. You can try to figure out who the murderer it is and reveal them to win, or you can just live long enough to see them die. This is a very cute game for a game about murdering. It's really got some simple rules to it that I can see, and it's got some very cute turtles with different like themes going on. So Kickstarter.com has already pronounced their love for this game with their signature badge and is like promoting it. And I want to do the same. You've got 15 days left to try this out. Definitely check out the link in chat if you want to learn more. As you guys all know, I love turtles, and immediately I saw this and thought, okay, I hope it's good. And then I looked at it and I was like, yep, I'm definitely backing it. It's only $17 US if you want to get the game, and the early bird special is still going on, so you still got plenty of time. But it's okay. It's only $2 more if you wait too long. It's fine. It's just $2. It'll be all right.
Oh, that's really cool.
No,
$2. This is a cute game. It goes right up the alley of you with the turtles. We were talking about this before at Gen Con a few years back. You got a wonderful turtle plushie. Could you tell us what the name of this turtle is? I think it's my favorite name for a turtle ever.
Tortellini.
Tortellini. Thank
Not
you.
turtellini,
Not
tortellini, like the pasta.
Just like the pasta. Thank you, Javion, for this insight into your turtles and this game. Next up,
My
we're going.
turtle tortellini actually has a baby named Antipasta.
Oh my!
Not like the turtle, like the pasta.
And my sources here are claiming that it's actually named by award-winning game designer.
Yes, award-winning, acclaimed, treasured game designer Emma Larkins. Yes.
Awesome, awesome, wonderful. Thank you, Javion, for bringing that to our attention. Next up, Bonsai. You got something for us? Would you tell us about it?
Quest Snakes, a strategic medieval party game. So it's an easy, fast, replayable card game where you recruit derpy snakes to embark on wacky quest. So it's 2 to 6 player game where you assemble your adventuring guild of snakes and compete to be the greatest adventuring guild of snakes. Uh, the game seems pretty fun and simple, and the goofy theme helps keeps things pretty lighthearted. The game starts off with everyone getting 16 coins, and with an auction, you build your guilds. That so basically whoever gets to choose first is the one who had the highest bid that round. Then proceeds to 10 rounds of questing. Afterwards, you get your full questing of all these snake adventures. With the players assembled from the guild roster, the snakes. So they basically whoever has the most powerful snakes gets to defeat the quest. Also, some of these snakes you can see there's a cooldown, so you don't just keep putting your most powerful snakes down. Some snakes actually debuff other snakes on quest, so it's a little bit of strategy involved in there. This is one of those games you feel like you really understand about 90% of the games just by looking at the player aid, and it seems to be a great option for a light weight game that's easy to bring to the table, especially if you're friends who like snakes, and snakes with wizard costumes, snakes with druid costumes, and snakes with mushrooms on their head.
Awesome, Bonsai. Thank you for saying snakes. I'm going to go back and count how many times you said snakes on that one, and it'll be wonderful. This sounds really cool. It looks really cute. Thank you, Bonsai, for bringing that to our attention. Next up, we have one last visit from the crowdfunder fairy. Noir, take it away.
I mean, I would say less a fairy and more a ghost. I'm letting you all know right now, as a personal challenge to myself, I'm gonna attempt to say snakes more times in my pitch than the Bonsai did. So here we go. So Totem is a narrative map making role playing game with simple rules inspired by classics of the ghost story genre, from Poltergeist to Paranormal Activity, as well as The Ring, Insidious, Silent Hill, The Exorcist, and other such disquieting masterpieces. But unfortunately, not Anaconda, because none of the ghosts you play are snakes. That's 2. Totem will guide your group of seekers along a chilling voyage where you snake your way through the uncanny in search of contact with other entities populating the planes of reality. You'll explore haunted houses, exorcise demons, pry into the will of otherworldly entities with the spirit board, and even cross the threshold into the furthest reaches of limbo, which can snake through all eternity. With map making, after choosing a scenario from the available options like haunted house, which is included in the quick start guide, the archetype of spirit, wolf, moth, cat, crow, snake, each with specific powers, the seekers in turn will describe what they see and their actions, then sketch the map on the haunted place. Currently, Totem had a goal of $10,939, but they slithered their way to $22,855,000, just snaking away from the jaws of defeat. There are 352 backers with 7 days left to back this. So please check out Totem. It is actually very, very cool. And snake.
Okay, just at the buzzer, Noir did beat Bonsai on the total snake count. Well, that is what we have for Crowdfunder Court today, but we actually have an interview coming up momentarily with Kenneth Hite on Trail of Cthulhu, second edition. Kenneth Hite has written over 100 RPG books, so I'm really excited to get him in here and talk to him about this. We are about to go to interview worthy, so it'll just be one moment. I'll see you in a second.
Oh, welcome, Kenneth Hite. We are so excited to have you on our show. Thank you so much for joining us. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling great. Thanks for having me. It's a beautiful sunny day in Chicago in mid-October, which never happens.
Hey,
So
Chicago, what's up?
yes, thank you. What's up? It's the greatest city in the world. That's what's up.
Oh, great.
And the
There we
worst
go.
baseball team in history. Yes.
Yes, we did it.
Yes.
White Sox letting us down since forever.
Yep.
Look what you did. You got nowhere going. Thanks so
You're
much.
welcome. You're welcome.
I specifically hid the fact that you were from Chicago from Noir this entire episode just so
It's
we
a
could have this
special
moment.
surprise prize.
Thank you so much for joining us, Kenneth. We have so many questions for you. First of all, before we get into those questions, I just want to say what an honor it is that we have you on our show. You have written for so many different projects, so many different awards, Hugo, Origins, like all of these different things. What's the most recent award that any of your projects has won? Do you remember?
My God, the most recent award. Let's see. It may be the Annie for best setting for Fall of Delta Green. That might be the most. There may be one or two and I don't. This sounds like I'm the worst person in the world. I am, but not in this way. I'm in a different way. But I think that's the one that I remember, jumping up on stage and running my big mouth about. Anyway, was the Gold Annie for best setting for Fall of Delta Green. And again, I didn't invent the 1960s or Delta Green. I just sort of, mushed them together, and that's sort of been my career, as you are generous enough to allude to, ever since. I mean, forever. Is I don't invent things, I mush things, and then hopefully people say, oh, that was tasty, like the unsung geniuses who invented bubble tea and buffalo wings and things. That's my role.
Well, maybe you can tell us then about your most recent project here that we're talking about, Trail of Cthulhu second edition.
Right. Yeah, that is a revision, new edition, as it says on the cover, of Trail of Cthulhu, which I wrote in 2007, designed in 2007, came out in 2008. And it was I think, second or third Gumshoe game. I'm not exactly sure. Fear Itself and Esoterrorists were sort of in there in the very early days. And it was sort of the proof of concept. You take the greatest role-playing game of all time, Call of Cthulhu, and you say, can you do that with Gumshoe? And the answer was apparently yes. And I did as much as I could to bring at least part of the play experience back to the original Sandy Peterson manuscript, where gods are impossible to touch mechanically, where you can't come back from sanity loss, where you're in a properly Lovecraftian hell world. And then, because I remember playing Call of Cthulhu when I was, 15, I said, well, we should also have Tommy guns and sort of a pulp expression, if that's what you want to do. And I called those modes of play and stole those from Alan Varney's Paranoia XP, which, of course, one of the great designs of all time. Alan Varney, one of the great designers of all time. So again, I stole it from a better person and then set it up shiny and pretty. And that sort of turned out to be the flagship game for Pelgrane Press and the flagship game to a large extent for Gumshoe, and has been, we put out supplements that have won awards. Trail of Cthulhu, what got Best of Show at Luca, it won so many awards when it came out. And it's been sort of the beating heart, if you will, of Gumshoe development ever since. And like many beating hearts, it has had some wear and tear on it. And we've learned a lot about how to present Gumshoe to audiences. Audiences have taught us a lot about how to play Gumshoe, how they actually engage with it at the table. I've been running, Gumshoe games myself since then. At the time I wrote that, I had run, I think, 3 Gumshoe adventures, and now I have run many more than 3. So we've just have a much bigger body of knowledge to work with that we're now rotating Trail of Cthulhu to display and to show off and to make it accessible to people who have maybe gotten a little tired of other games, other F20 type games, and they say, I've heard of this Cthulhu, I'd like to play that. And then the other key ingredient is we've brought Gareth Ryder Hanrahan on as my co-designer and co-author, and he and I have worked together on the Dracula dossier, which was very successful and great fun to do. We did the Borellis Connection campaign, the mega campaign for Fall of Delta Green, which was hugely fun and is finally out. Yay for us. And so I have learned in my years in the industry that if you can make Gar do all the hard part, you still get to take the credit. And so that I think is the real killer app of the second edition, is that I have Gar. I talked about that my sort of good game about, oh, we've learned so much about Gumshoe. Gar has done virtually all of the learning, in fairness. And so I just say, Gar, you put that down in the book now. And he says, you got it. And my name's still on the front cover. It's wild.
Well, I have a question if you don't mind. It might be controversial, but do you have a favorite child storyline or arc that you have in this game that you can tell us a little sneak peek about?
Well, I think that anyone who knows me, and get ready for this, is the Shadows Under Chicago campaign frame. When I first started playing Call of Cthulhu in Oklahoma City in the 80s, I had my copy of Gangbusters, and we used that as a map and resource for Call of Cthulhu games because it was the 20s. Chicago was in the 20s. Perfect match. Yeah. And I have tried to sell Gangsters v Cthulhu to, I think, 2 different game companies in the interim since then. And it's no one's ever bitten, or the money didn't work, or I wanted, creative control or whatever. And so this, we replaced 2 of the campaign frames from the first edition because we'd already kind of done them. So Bookhounds of London got its own book, and Operation Covenant, or Project Covenant, was our Delta Green tribute. And we've already done Delta Green now with Fall of Delta Green. So we put 2 new campaign frames in, and I finally get to sneak Al Capone learns the secrets of Yog-Sothoth. Well, and now before people get on my neck, in Charles Dexter Ward, we know that bootleggers hijack one of those truckloads of coffins that are going to Charles Dexter Ward. Bootleggers could not keep it a secret within the underworld, says so right in Lovecraft's text. Ergo, word is getting back to people. And if you are saying, who is the most syphilitic, insane, power-mad person in the underworld in the 1920s, I think there's only one answer, and that is my boy Al Capone, Scarface. And so that's the scenario, is that he basically steals all the stuff out of the basement of Kerwin's house. And remember, in the story, they come back to the house and there's concrete over the secret door. And you were supposed to believe that an 8th century wizard took time out and relayed the floor. No, the 8th century wizard just beefed off and blew up castles. Mobsters did that. We know that. I mean, you know that. We all know that. So my secret baby is that we have Chicago in the late 20s, early 30s. Al Capone has got the powers of Yog-Sothoth. Everything is getting infinitely worse. You can either play other mobsters who suddenly have to deal with this even more horrible competition. You can play members of the Untouchables, or a secret, team that's the occult Untouchables, which would be great fun. Or you're just regular old investigators. You're dilettantes and hobos and occultists. You're just Chicago dilettantes and hobos and occultists. And now, hell's let out for breakfast because Yog-Sothoth keeps popping off in Indiana cornfields and waking things up.
That sounds awesome. If I had money, I would absolutely pay for that to happen. That needs to happen.
Well, you can pay for that to happen.
Where's my cash?
It's in the book, and if there is a big upwelling of support during the crowdfunding, then I feel like one campaign frame got a book. Why could this not get a book? No pressure, Kat.
I do want to ask, what differences have you noticed from working on Trail of Cthulhu now versus when you originally worked on it? Is it easier? Are there more roadblocks, less roadblocks, that kind of deal?
I mean, part of it is easy because the game itself, we're not changing very much of anything. The straight up rules, it's just little bits of best practices from the next iteration of 7 or 8 Gumshoe games. So like we have sort of a best practice answer for darkness. What does that do? Type stuff that we didn't have in 2007. Little tiny things like that. The magic system that I foolishly only invented a month after I finished the manuscript and had to come out as Rough Magics. We've just ported that back in. So a lot of it is just really, really easy because the game is robust and it's staying the same. We sort of went back and forth about, do we really try and rerun combat, which is in Gumshoe, it's kind of an afterthought because the game's not about combat except Nice Black Agents. It's about investigation, and in Cthulhu you shouldn't be thinking about combat really anyway.
Yeah.
And so we sort of went back and forth. Do we change it? Do we radically change it? And the answer kind of was not really. It's as good as it can get. Let's make it clearer. Let's give a couple more edge cases and maybe give a little more hand holding for how many points does the monster spend. But by and large, it's simple and it's fast, and that's what it ought to be. And if we'd made it faster, it would have been too abstract, moving in the sort of the Yellow King quick shock way. And if we'd made it more complex, then it's more complex, and that vitiates sort of the point of the game. So that was really the hard part, was arguing ourselves out of changing a system that, again, it's not the selling point of the game, but it is. I think that it needs to be just about exactly as it was in 2007 to feel right at the table. And God knows if someone really wants more combat, Nice Black Agents is just next to it on the shelf. They can pull that out and go to town.
Heck yeah.
So
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Julian.
Well, I was gonna say, speaking of combat, there are a lot of different Cthulhu games out there. I obviously worked on most of them. Can you say, for some of the folks who maybe haven't played through Gumshoe, how does Trail of Cthulhu interact with it? And the second edition, what are some changes that you see from the first?
Well, the basic insight of Gumshoe, the core insight that Robin Laws, my Canadian transborder life partner, came up with, is that there are 2 kinds of roles in any role-playing game. There are roles where failing makes the game boring or stops it dead, and that's roles to spot the secret door, to read the diary, to get information that moves you through the story. And you should never fail those roles. And so the next step is, well, then don't make those roles. Big brain on Robin. The other kind of role is the one where failure makes things more interesting. I shoot the ghoul, you missed. Well, we're interested now. We're very interested. Riveted, some would say. And so those roles stay. And then Gumshoe creates a sort of a little reptile hindbrain thing, because you have pools you can spend on those rolls. And it's like, do I spend 3 firearms points to hit this ghoul with my second shot? What if there's a second ghoul? And so you are living in the tension of making that decision, which I think really, really works for tabletop horror in general and for Trail of Cthulhu specifically. And Gumshoe fits on a page. The central insights of Gumshoe are on a page. Even in this iteration, the rules, I don't think, are 25 pages. And so the way that the game plays out is to model a story and to move you through that story such that you become as immersed in it as you want to be, and can make sort of the decisions to follow up on clues or whatever else, knowing that you can't definitionally go down a side trail, because you can always find information that gets you back to the main event, right? Possibly that's a bad idea because the main event is a Shoggoth in a barn somewhere, but for the story, it's the right decision. And so the second edition changing that is really virtually all 16 years of explaining what spends do. At the beginning, investigative spends were far more common. Now they're much more deprecated, and automatic success is even more true. The Gumshoe becomes more gumshoey. Robin's joke is that I exist to put things into Gumshoe and he exists to take things back out of Gumshoe. So a lot of the rules decisions are, I put this into Night's Black Agents. I put this into Fall of Delta Green. Should we not put it in? Should we be Robin instead of Ken? And sometimes we're Ken, sometimes we're Robin. And I think that the goal is to make it a little more robust. There's a couple of edge cases. There's a couple of ways to do contests that I like the 3 and out chase mechanic from Night's Black Agents. I think that's really good for chases, so it's in Trail now. But the actual lived experience of playing Gumshoe is hopefully just made clearer and better buttressed with examples and advice. And that's what comes from the 16 years of other people playing my game, of me playing my game, of Gar having played my game, and then integrating all of that into the text, which is the sort of tricky part. And, we're doing that with a series of edit passes. Gar has gone through the whole manuscript once. Cat is now going through the whole manuscript once. I will go through the whole manuscript once. And ideally, at the end of that, we will be at a state where everyone involved is, thinking about 2024 gamers and playing this game in 2024. Or ideally 2025 when, it'll come out.
Fantastic. So we have about time for one more question, and I'm actually going to take this one. So for a lot of films, they often show, people will watch the directors will show a movie to the crew to kind of this is the vibe I'm going for. Are there any movies when you're working on something like Trail of Cthulhu, any movies that you would, bring to the forefront of your head that you maybe are using as inspiration, or just get you in the right mood to create something like this?
In terms of movies, I think that I have the good fortune, and by an odd coincidence, I'm wearing the shirt, of going to the H.P. Lovecraft Film Festival every year. They bring me out as sort of a third wheel. And those movies, the sort of everyone, and the lesson that I take away is that everyone intersects with Lovecraft in their own way, that it's very fertile in that way. There's not one true reading or one correct reading or one automatic reading even of Lovecraft, that everyone comes at it in their own sort of approach. And seeing that, it's not and I get your question, Marcus, because for Night's Black Agents, I literally was thinking about the middle fight scene in the middle Bourne movie
Yeah.
all the time when I was writing Night's Black Agents. It's like, if it doesn't feel like that, something is wrong. And then to a lesser extent, if it feels like the rest of the trilogy or Ronin. But with Trail, you really have to be open to so many different ways of approaching the mythos. And what do I want from it? Do I want to experience, hyperphysics and go mad and die? Do I want to machine gun deep ones? Do I want to tell a story of my own personal disintegration as I realize my morals and my beliefs meant nothing to the universe? Do I want to rescue a little baby from being sacrificed to the witches of Arkham? Everyone is going to come at it in a different way. And so I think of the opening, say, 1/3 of the movie Alien Raiders by Ben Rock, 2008. I don't know if anyone's seen this, but for the first third of that movie, you have no idea if the heroes of the movie, the monster fighters, are just serial killing insane people, because they've taken a bunch of hostages and they're saying, we have to test you for demons or monsters. And you're like, that doesn't sound good at all. And they're clearly don't know what they're doing. They've got this sort of amateurish. I mean, if you're a role-playing game, you're like, yep, that's the van. That's the van my characters have. And they take all their stuff, and you have are the real monsters? Is this a serial killer movie that I'm watching or a monster movie? And that, Schrodinger's murder is sort of the vibe that I really, really love for Trail. And as long as you can possibly do it, that you should always be asking, like Lovecraft's characters are asking, am I crazy? Is this real? This can't be real. And of course, we, the reader, are like, of course it's real. There are bugmen from Pluto and they're after you. But to really immerse yourself, to play that character, to live in that story, you have to be willing to say, what if everyone is right and there are no Migo, there are no deep, obviously this can't be the case. Obviously this is just a chemical spill in Innsmouth. It doesn't mean that there's Dagon and things. And that duality has to remain, because it's fundamentally, it's a game of occult mystery and investigation. It's not a game of, it's not Buffy. It's not set them up and knock them down. Right.
Oh, fantastic. Kenneth, thank you so much for joining us. We're going to have to sign off, so please stick with us as we do. Thank you for this great talk. I would love to hear more about Trail of Cthulhu, second edition from Pelgrane Press, coming to Backer Kit Monday, October 14th. You can actually, if you click on the link in chat, I believe you can get the quick start guide to get a look at what the game is like. Or is that
You
right?
can.
Jim? Yep, perfect.
Yep, you get the quick start, and then you'll get on the mailing list, and you'll get to know all about the launch of the Backer Kit campaign, which is imminent now.
That is awesome. Well, best of luck with the Backer Kit campaign. We're going to sign off. This concludes another wonderful episode of Table Takes, but do not go far, because in a couple hours we have Sarah's table. She's playing something called Witch's Tea Time. But don't worry, we have a whole bunch of slew of shows all week, all times Pacific. Mondays, we have Peter versus the Machine at 9 a.m., Dress to Quest at 5 p.m. Then Tuesdays, it's Hunter the Reckoning with Indie by Night at 7 p.m. Then on Wednesdays, again, we have miniature painting with Path of the Brush at 4 p.m., Actoroki at 6 p.m. Then Tuesday mornings, we have social deduction. Sorry, Thursday mornings, we have social deduction at 10 a.m. with Blood on the Clock Tower. And then 5 p.m. for interviews and Shadowrun on Roll with Rem Alternus. Then it is back here Friday for Table Takes. I want to thank everyone on Gen Con TV crew, Steve, Sarah, Jim, Tanel, Peter, who cannot be here with us today. Thanks to my delightful co-host, Javion Bonsai Noir. Thanks to our guest, Kenneth, for joining us once again. Thank you all of chat. Remember to follow Gen Con TV by pressing that follow button here for more of the best 4 days in gaming all year long. Thank you so much, and we'll see you soon. Bye, everybody.